So I was sitting in my car, getting ready to walk in this building for an opportunity that I had been praying for. And right as I opened up the door to step out, my body froze up. My heart starts racing fast, my palms start sweating, and I hear this voice saying, "Don't do it. Don't go in there." And it didn't make sense to me, right? Like this was a breakthrough that I had been waiting on for a very long time. But my body felt like I was about to walk into something dangerous. And I couldn't figure out why this was happening until I traced that feeling back. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't afraid of this opportunity. I was actually running from something that happened to me 27 years ago. And I'm going to tell you what happened. And I need you to listen to this like your life depends on it. Because if you don't deal with what I'm about to reveal to you, it will keep you from everything that God is trying to bless you with. Now, in order for this to make sense, first I have to teach you how your mind works. And I'm going to tell you in a very simple way that you can understand, all right? So your mind is basically like a warehouse of images. And everything that you've ever experienced in your life, whether it be good or bad, is stored as an image in your subconscious mind. And it doesn't just store what happened to you. It also stores how that experience made you feel. And then it places it in 3 different categories. So you have a positive, neutral, and negative category. And here's why that matters. Your mind has no resistance to repeating anything that's positive or neutral. But the negative ones, it flags them as dangerous. And it wants to do everything it can to protect you from repeating that experience again. Now I'm going to take you back to me 27 years ago. See, I remember being a kid standing in front of the church about to give my Easter Sunday speech. I had my little suit on, my lines were memorized, and in that moment when it was my time to speak and all eyes were on me, I froze up. My heart was pounding, my hands were shaking, and I couldn't get a word out. And in that moment, I felt embarrassed, exposed, ashamed. I felt powerless. And my brain made a decision that day that being seen is dangerous. Now fast forward 27 years later, I'm a grown man sitting in my car about to go speak to 150 teachers. At that time, it was my biggest audience to date. And I'm reacting to something that happened when I was a child. That's how powerful the mind is. It will pull you back from the very thing that God is pushing you towards. Not because that thing is bad, but because it feels so familiar to a pain that you never fully processed. See, you're not scared to go to your next level. What you're really scared of is the image in your mind that's attached to it. And until you deal with that image, you'll keep repeating the same cycles that you're in today. So how do you break that cycle? Well, the only way to do it is to reframe that experience and eliminate the negative charge that you have associated with it. So I'm going to walk you through the exact process that I use to do that, all right? Step 1, clearly state what happened. So when I was a child, I stood in front of my church to give my Easter Sunday speech, and I completely froze up. I couldn't remember my lines, everybody was staring at me, and in that moment, I felt like a failure. Then you move to step number 2. Why is that experience positive? So we got to neutralize the negative emotion that we have towards that event. And in that moment, I wasn't a failure. That was just me responding to a normal human emotion called performance anxiety. Even professional speakers struggle with that. So what I experienced wasn't weakness, it was just my body responding to a stressful event. And here's the beautiful thing about that. Even though I froze up, I showed up. I had the courage to stand in front of my church. I prepared for the speech. I tried. And that's something that a lot of people cannot say. And then step 3, we want to talk about the lesson. What wisdom did you learn from that? See, that experience taught me that emotions are not facts. They're just information. And that anxiety wasn't telling me not to speak. It was just telling me that what I was about to speak about really mattered. It taught me that growth happens at the edge of our comfort zones. And now every time that familiar anxiety shows up, I recognize that it's a sign that I'm about to grow. And most importantly, it taught me that failure is not final. I froze up, but I survived. I'm still here. And that knowledge gives me the courage to take even bigger risk today. So when I applied this reframing process to that childhood memory, something powerful happened in my life. The next time I was about to go and speak to a big crowd, and I felt that familiar anxiety, instead of seeing it as something dangerous that I should avoid, I just saw it as growth. Instead of seeing it as, oh, my heart is racing, I'm doing the wrong thing, I was like, nah, what I'm about to share with them truly matters. Instead of being paralyzed by the fear of failure, I was empowered to know that even if I stumbled, I would survive. And that's the power of reframing situations. See, the memory doesn't leave you, you just transform what it means. Now let me show you how this works in the Bible, because Joseph went through the exact same thing. So Joseph was betrayed by the people that was closest to him. His own brothers threw him in a pit, sold him into slavery, and even left him for dead. He was falsely accused, locked in a prison, forgotten by the very people that he helped. Now imagine the images that he had in his mind. The sound of his brothers laughing at him as they sold him. The cold darkness of that prison cell that he laid in. The sting of being overlooked and abandoned over and over again. See, if Joseph stayed stuck in those memories, he could have lived a life that was bitter, closed off, and never having the ability to trust anybody again. But years later, when Joseph stood face to face with his brothers who betrayed him, he didn't seek revenge. He didn't make them suffer. He said something powerful. What you meant for evil, God meant for good. And right there, Joseph reframed that memory. See, he didn't deny the pain that he went through. He didn't try to erase his past. He just changed what it meant. And that reframe was the thing that unlocked his future. So here's what that means for you. Number one, your mind stores every experience that you've been through in images. And it doesn't just store the image of what happened, it also stores how it made you feel. And those feelings become the very blueprint of your behavior. And that's why blessings at times can feel dangerous when you're not fully healed from a memory. Thing number two, negative images create resistance. You're not procrastinating because you're lazy. You're not pulling back because you don't really care. Your mind is trying to protect you from something it never fully processed from. And until you reframe what happened, you're going to keep reacting out of fear, even if the place that you're in is safe. And number three, reframing unlocks your identity and your destiny, just like it did Joseph. See, he didn't change what happened to him, he just changed what it meant. And when you do the same, you'll stop living in reaction to pain and start walking in alignment with your purpose. So if you've been stuck, if you've been praying for a breakthrough, but you're finding yourself in the same cycle over and over again, it's not because you're weak. It's not because you're unworthy. It's because your mind is still reflecting to an old image and you haven't gone back to reframe it. But now you have the tools, the knowledge, and the resources to do it. And I don't want you to take my word for this. I want you to test this out for yourself so you can experience the benefits. So if you caught the message of this video, I want you to drop a comment below. Let me know your biggest takeaway. Share this video, somebody needs to hear it, and follow this page for more just like this. I love you.